Hello, good morning from Dubai. This is Coach Fedari, and welcome back to another podcast session in partnership with ivycoaches. With me, I have the amazing and lovely Yee Eng. Coach Yee Eng, good morning, good afternoon.
Thank you, Coach Fedari. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be with you here today. It's my privilege and definitely my honor. Thank you.
Well, honor is all ours, and it's a great privilege to have you. So thanks for accepting this invite. And what an amazing journey you've had so far. And I'm sure there's a lot more amazing journeys coming up.
Thank you.
Malaysian, based in Singapore and Malaysia.
Yes. Yeah.
Working mom, entrepreneur.
Yes.
I can just go on and go
Yes.
on and go on. Tell us about yourself. I mean,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Who are you? How do you all do all of this? So wonderful.
How do I do all of this? I just do it. So I usually and put myself out there saying that I'm a coach. I'm a certified career and leadership coach. I run my own coaching business, and I'm a mother of two professionally. I don't like to use the word personally because then it segregates life and work, isn't it? So I juggle all of this all at once, just in hope to have a balanced lifestyle that I really loved, and I have it now. And there isn't any day that I feel like I'm undermined. Like I live my day fulfilled every day, just doing all these things that I love. So yeah,
it's really impressive. You know, I've as you know, there's a lot of initiatives. There's a lot of happenings, especially this year as well, within the women empowerment. There's a lot of summits going on. There's one coming up in the next couple of weeks down here anyway. And I think it's been a big movement in terms of, once and for all, clarifying that women, men on same platform. Now, I bring this up because in coaching, more than anything else, the existence and the presence of female coaches is somehow much more powerful, as I've seen it, compared to any other industry. So, first of all, applause for all the wonderful coaches such like yourself, and that bring this industry up to the level. And tell us about your startup. You started something beautiful, something within the coaching world, and your company is Why Coaching Academy.
Yes.
Why Coaching Academy? And tell us more.
That's amazing question. I get this question a lot. I think why represents a lot of things, and we are inspired using why. It's because my husband and I, we walk past a hotel called W Hotel. I'm sure you are very well familiar with W Hotel, and that just a W strike us as like, wow, like it's crisp, it's elegant, and it's straight to the point what they are selling for. And that inspired us to choose an alphabet, right? And out of the 26 alphabet, why did we choose Y? It's a representation of many things. My name, Yee Eng, that's one of it. But more importantly, it is a representation of the Y generation and beyond. And I really want to dedicate this organization towards the generation to come. And by 2020, which is this year, half of the global workforce would have already been Y generation and even Z generation in the upcoming generation. Pardon me, my two kids are whining behind, but I deal with it as part of my daily life. So going back to the why, and that's really the reason why, and also the why strike out as a really good conversation starter. Why things, why coaching, and strike off a really good conversation, right? So that's a few reasons why it's called Why Coaching Academy.
I'm always amazed when I ask the question of the reason behind a name that someone gives to the company. And I must say, this is among one of the most exciting ones and most thoughtful ones that I've heard. It really stands out, even as the form of the why, it stands out. And somehow I see it as two hands going out, and terms of taking in. So,
Yeah.
I just thought of it right now. Now, first of all, it's beautiful to hear children in the background. I think that's one sound we all got used to during the pandemic. And if something positive
Yes.
came out of pandemics, is that people, your life is who you are, and live with it. So it's good to have that sound, and that I would call it sound of nature.
Yes, it's indeed the nature of the world, isn't it?
So fantastic. And even if they come in, they're more than welcome. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and I think this is the path that someone joining or someone coming to Y Coaching Academy will probably resonate with. So if I say 360 growth, millennial growth, and I put leadership, so 360 millennial leadership. Can you wrap it up?
What is it?
Can you get us a small wrap and tell us, what goodies can we, probably the person who approaches you get?
And I like how you have put things into perspective. Like, how do we connect all these three big buckets together? And how I see it, it's really millennial, no longer just one thing. Right, career success, or just the more money, be the billionaire, or things like that. We want a holistic life where we are balanced. I have a special relationship with balance, because a lot of people think balance as like, it's either or kind of thing. And I like a word integration instead. So like millennials don't like 9 to 5 work and everything that is really rigid, because we live in the VUCA world, right? Everything changes so fast, and as we were talking about earlier, like things just is ever changing. So we want flexible hours, we want fulfillment, we want joy, we want good health. And I really like this book called Designing Your Life. And in Designing Your Life, there's I think it's a holistic life dashboard, and they talk about 4 things. Joy, things that you really do just for fun, right? Your work, right? Fulfillment, how are you touching people's life? And then your health, not just your physical health, but your mental health, your spiritual health. And love, the connection, not just with your family, but your friends and the world itself. And it's only when we have all 4, it is 360. It is encompassing, what Maslow say, the self-actualization of humankind. And this is what we are looking for in generation to come. And a lot of people are surprised, at millennials, young age, are looking at this self-actualization without even thinking about survival, isn't it? But that's how our world has evolved, with the technology, with the education from the last generation. This is what we realize, and it will only get more advanced in a way. So I feel that 360 growth is the way to go. And I had this client yesterday. It was beautiful how he puts it. To be happy is to grow.
And that's one thing that it definitely is. I think growing is something you can't stop.
Yes.
You can grow your mind. Growth can be stopped if you do not open it, and you do not change your perspective. So I think growth by itself happens one way or another. So as you said, and if you acknowledge that is an area where you can actually benefit the world and your environment, then you're going to be a successful person, no matter what you put your mind to. So great point there. Now, do you see a shift, or do you see a change in how growth is going to be looked at in the near future? So in other words, having seen what has occurred, has that given us another starting point, whether we are millennials or we're other generations, but especially in the Y generation? Do you think that our perspective of how we look into the future has changed forever? And if so, as a coach, what would be your advice?
Okay. So I hear a few questions right there. Do I see what's my perspective of growth for the upcoming generation, right? Are they changing or not? And then also, as a coach, what do I do about it? Is that, did I catch it right?
Oh yeah, you caught it very well, and you have a
Okay.
fantastic listening capabilities as a coach. So
Thank you, Coach Vidari.
That's why you're successful.
Likewise. So, well, to your first question, I really don't know the answer. I feel like it's a mix of both. I'm sure you heard of growth mindset by Carol Dweck, Professor Carol Dweck. And the movement is rolling big, and a lot of people are aware of growth mindset, and a lot of people are bringing this concept to the schools itself to actually equip people, equip our generation to come with a growth mindset so that they can fail fast, fail forward, right? So I definitely see a shift right there, that people are more prone to growth. But at the same time, with the rise of social media, you know how social media, everything it's beautified, instantified, and you only show people the best side of yourself, and that limits people to grow because you always want to be the perfect one, and when you want to be the perfect one, you don't want to fail, right? So it's really the tug of war, I would say. It's really a tug of war. So I have no definite answer towards how it is changing, but I see this tug of war that is going. People have the awareness, but people are battling with the external environment, especially with the rise of social media. And I'm not saying we should eradicate social media altogether. Like it or not, social media, it's gonna be part of our life, at least in the 10 years moving forward, right? This is how the millennial and the generation to come, they communicate, right? They make themselves shine. It is about how can they still adopt the growth mindset with the rise of social media, whether or not they have the education to or even, you know, practice to manage themselves with the rise of things. Like Peter Drucker said, right? Like, to be a successful leader, you need to first manage yourself. And many other leadership icons also anchor that, and I feel that is what is missing in the generation to come. Right, we are so busy trying to please, look good, and everything, but we don't focus on ourselves. And that comes to the second point: what would I do as a coach? So in Why Coaching Academy, one of our signature program is self-leadership, right? And that self-leadership talks about not just how you take care of yourself, but how do you have courage to show up. A big champion of this is Dr. Brené Brown. She talks about daring greatly. How can you show up still being yourself and not just nice yourself, right? For the lack of the better word. So that, and then how do you actually deal with people, like actual people, not just on technology? I know, especially with the pandemic, everyone is scrambling towards using technology tools, how to communicate better, how to collaborate better. But the true essence is really having the real human connection, right? So and that program itself is our signature program, it's our foundation program to champion self-leadership in every youth, every millennial to come, and not even just the upcoming generation, and in the older generation. So it's just global, like multi-generation. We live in a world where we have 4 generations together, and all 4 have to know self-leadership. Is the most fundamental part to leadership. Before you inspire as a leader, you need to thrive as a person. That's where I'm coming from.
Well, I guess that's really a very in-depth answer. And I think that you probably could go elaborating on this for hours. You can see the passion.
Yeah, probably. So I'm very passionate about it. Yes.
There's a lot to be done in that space. As you said, the pandemic, which we don't talk about in the podcast, but we refer to, it has brought up a lot of new let's say, a lot of new industries which were hidden to many people. It's been both positive and negative because of the fact that unless you kind of constantly block certain unnecessary incoming messages, you're going to be bombarded daily by everyone.
Yes.
Now, we've also seen how a lot of lessons in leadership during pandemic have popped up like mushrooms. Like I've seen a lot of expert of matters, and many of them have shared a lot with us on social media on how to be a leader during a crisis, how to be great at communication during this time. Whereas, isn't that the basics of leadership, to know how to communicate with people? And nobody was really prepared for a crisis. As a leader myself, I never had the privilege of doing a training on preparing for worst. So how do you prepare leaders for the worst? I mean, we've seen one of the worsts of mankind pass us in terms of bringing down the whole international or the global economy somehow. How do you prepare next generation of leaders to be ready
for the worst? Yeah, to be ready for the worst. That's a really good question, and I like how you actually spark this controversy where isn't communication the most basic thing any leaders should do? And I remember this quote from Fred Kaufman. He's a champion of conscious business, and he says, "Common sense is not common practice. The easier the concept is, the harder it is to practice." And I feel like to your question, like what can leaders do to prepare for the worst? I think it goes back to the fundamental of communication, and that is to be vulnerable. There's really, worst is yet to come. It's always what we say, right? Like, one thing is worse, but there could be more, right? So if you are vulnerable enough, which means that you open up when there are troubles and not trying to, you show up always very strong, and you don't try to solve things by yourself. You have a team with you, and you are able to have that courage to open up and say, hey, we see that the worst is coming. What can we do as a team? As compared to like, oh, the worst is coming, let me do my best to save my team, without actually communicating to the team what they feel is the best for them, right? So I feel like that's like nothing can prepare us for the worst unless you are in the boat together, right? It's like the tsunami is coming and the leader is trying to paddle through the tsunami, when the whole team feels like, we can go to an island and take refuge, or it's hard to paddle a boat when the whole team is sitting there frozen, like I don't know what to do. You need to bring your team together, and that needs courage to be vulnerable, and then you are able to communicate.
I absolutely agree with you on that one. It reminds me also of the book The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, where it really has 3 simple chapters, and one of them is about vulnerability. When teams can be vulnerable in a safe space, that's where the best and the most growth can happen, because people are not afraid of being themselves and to fail. Now, there's a lot of learnings we can take also from the military side, where the Navy SEALs has always been a passion of mine in terms of leadership lessons, and they really are very simply they run by a very simple concept of saying that when you're under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. So the more you're trained for crisis, the better you will react.
Yes.
And you mentioned failure in a phrase here, so I want to ask you a question of utmost importance, what I ask many podcasters when you come in. So take a minute, if you have to, and tell us, how has a failure, or something which was apparently a failure, sets you up personally for a greater or a later success, or a later anger? Think of one.
Think of one. My failure. I'm just trying to think what is my greatest failure.
That's a great thought.
Yeah. I'm not a person who handles failure very well. I need to be very, very honest, because I'm a perfectionist. But like you say, when you quote the example from Navy, I'm constantly training myself, like putting myself in the failure environment to give myself that resilience, to rise up bounce back. I like the bounce back connotation, right? And I think one of the failures that I can thought of is when I first started coaching. So when I first started coaching, I was back in Malaysia and I was very young and fresh. Then I did my first job at Teach for Malaysia, which is part of a global education network, Teach for All. And I fundraised, and in that job itself, as a fresh graduate, I had to go in and meet all the C-suite in different companies, big companies, and ask for millions of dollars. Which to me, my legs are trembling, my hands are shaking, and I have to still do it, right? And eventually, it came to a point I feel like I burnt out, right? So I was resentful. I was frustrated, and as a young fresh graduate, like I decided to say, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start my business, and I'm going to have all my autonomy in the world and take charge, right? And that decision itself was a failure to me because it was not thought through. It was just simply reacting, right? And going with the tide of everyone wants to start up, everyone wants to make a name for themselves, and everyone wants to be the next billionaire. And that's when I started Coach Up Asia, where I hope to still coach millennials in their career pathways. But I found it extremely difficult to start because my purpose was wrong. My purpose was to prove to other people that I can be on my own. Whereas as compared to now, my purpose is to help people grow. So it's a fluffy versus grounded purpose. And that to me is success. And failure to me, it's really not taking a step back and think about, just have some time to yourself to think about things. I know we are living in a world that goes very fast, but to go fast, you need to go slow first. And this is what I learned in a meditation class, right? To go fast, you need to take a step back to see what you're getting into, not being swipe, not be in the rat race. And that to me was the biggest lesson that I have ever had. And this is where courage came in. Like I had to tell myself, this business, Coach Up Asia, is not going anywhere. And I announced to the whole world that I've started up this business. And I had to take the courage to announce to the whole world also that this did not work out. Yeah. So that's what I could thought of.
Well, congratulations on failing to make this a great success. And
Thank you.
It's always difficult to share when this question is asked, because I believe as coaches, we are sometimes very much focused on our coachees.
Yes.
And but wisely enough, we have to take the time to also reflect on our own self to know that we must shift also from time to time, from level to level. Now, you probably answered the next question, but I'm still going to ask that. We just came into each other, merging. You mentioned meditation, and my question would have been: there's moments where you're overwhelmed, you're not focused, you're pressured, a million things at the same time, and fast. I know what you do now, but tell us more. What do you do to get back on track and balance zero and go off again?
Yeah. Yeah. So interestingly, and that you bring this up because we coach people, and I love to get coached as well because I know the impact of coaching. And this year, consistently, my coaching topic is how to be calm and zen in the midst of things, right? And it really stems from many things. Millennial wants a lot of things. I'm a millennial as well. I want business success. I want job fulfillment. I want money. I have family of 2 kids. I want to always be there. So we are always on, right? And to a point, it gets too much that I actually have sleeping problems. I couldn't fall asleep very easily. And as a mother duty, I still have to breastfeed and nurse my kids, right? So I have to be, waking up every day. And it came to a point where I just feel like I have no control over myself. And this is where I remember I need to always take a step back. And one thing that I do is journal. Just take, half an hour once a month or even once a week, just write down my thoughts. And sometimes my journal is like just pages of scribble because I need somewhere to let it out, right? And journal is the best place without no one judging you to actually let yourself heal. And that's one. And secondly, I recently took up a meditation class by Art of Living, which is in India, but I did it all online, which is great. And breathing. I mean, what the instructor said was very profound. All of us are obsessed with eating healthy, right? Exercising and getting toned up, right? So these are the 2 fundamental things, and we want to sleep well.
Yep.
So these are the basic needs, right? But one thing that we overlook is we breathe to live, and we don't actually look into our breath at all. And this is where mindfulness and meditation is about, right? And one exercise that the instructor actually taught us is to inhale more air so that you have more oxygen to your brain. And how profound is that to also focus on your breathing, right? And I met a coach. He is a voice coach. His name is Ricky Lien. He is based in Australia, but he's a Malaysian too. So he when we met, I was telling him things, and he stopped me right there and said, "Yee Eng, breathe. You don't have to go so fast. When you breathe, people listened. Now you are just like a bullet train." I was like, wow. So breath, it's like, take our breath away, at least mine. So, yeah.
I think once again, you bring so much perspective into your question, into your answers. And when people talk about meditation, a lot of times we hear people promote meditation and yoga. And I think the basis of all that is breathing. And sometimes a simple exercise of breathing in the correct manner can make or break that moment in the day where you really feel that I don't have the possibility to meditate. I can't, this, just breathe, right? So thanks for reminding us of the fact that it's a God-given right that we actually enter the world that.
exactly. And I mean, I'm by all means not an expert in breathing or meditation or mindfulness. I'm just a learner. But that was the most profound learning that I've gotten from all these exercises.
Amazing. Now, we spoke about your generation, the generation you're focusing on, and the generations to come. What is an advice you would give today to the person that is listening to this or watching it, that's going to step out of college and university, into the real new world? What they should take as an advice, and then what should they ignore as an advice?
What should they ignore?
Take, ignore.
Take and ignore. Okay. So I'm going to be a little bit greedy. I'm going to give two advice. And one is craft your purpose. It's a lifelong process, but coming up from university itself or even coming out, just think about your purpose. It's a perpetual work in progress, but knowing your purpose give a lot more meaning to the work that you are doing. And one of the best concept that I always introduce to people is the concept of ikigai. And this ikigai, it's a Japanese word, means the reason of being. And this concept is introduced by the book Ikigai. And it has 4 dimensions, right? What you love, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, and what you are good at. And just constantly reflect on these 4 dimensions would actually get you closer to the fulfilling work that you are looking for, be it the money, be it impacting people and all. So this is the first thing that I want fresh graduate to have an awareness, your purpose. You don't have to have it right the first time, but you just need to be aware. The second advice that I would say is get a mentor. Yes, get a mentor or get a coach, right? Because if you want, like your life is like we are turning around the circles and get to our destination, but with someone you are able, like this person are able to show you some light along the way. So I find that very, very helpful. I have my coach, I have my own mentor, and I'm in various support group to help myself to see blind spot and ask for directions. I think that's really, really powerful. So that's one question, and the other question is what should they let go? I think they should let go of any advice that come with should. So like how they're around the people, oh, you should do this job, you should do this, you should do this. Yeah, so those are good to hear, but always follow your heart, because should is an expectation, but what is something that you must do, right? So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I can't. I really love the answers, I'm about to say the one that should be ignored. I think is a life lesson for people out there, and I believe the sooner you let go of other people's expectations, if there are any, and I hope people and families understand that those expectations can create anxiety, can destroy a future of a person, because they will not live their the full potential if the potential has not been explored. So thanks for emphasizing that. And also the mentorship, that is something that is so essential. And I hope and I wish that every young person out there, or not young, you can take that advice. That's one advice I would have loved to listen to when I would have been coming out of college. Which I didn't, and I had to learn it.
I didn't too. So
and find the right mentor. So definitely 2 great advices, 3 actually. So thanks for that. Now, you've quoted so much from books, and I have to say you're a big reader. I have no doubts. Now, this question automatically came on my mind because you left me with no option not to ask, but I have to ask this question now. What is one book, or maybe many other, that you probably would gift above any other book to people, to to your friends or someone you want to gift it to, and why? And why?
Actually, I'm not a big reader until recently. So those who know me, they know that I never read books up until after university. But recently, I've picked up book because I have shifted my habit. So I find that books are hard to carry around. So I shifted to Kindle, and like surprisingly, I read a lot more book, and I see a lot of value in book, and like it's addictive once you have get on to reading. And one book that I would give it to anyone is Daring Greatly by Dr. Brené Brown. And this book showed us, like, gave me so much light into just showing up as who I am. Right. And in this world that is fast moving, everyone is trying to influence your decision. Everyone is trying to grab your attention, right? You need to stand firm of who you are and not to be swayed like a coconut tree when the breeze is blowing you. And in Chinese proverb, we have this description where the lotus, as they come out of the muddy pond, they are actually blooming as they are, and they are not affected by the muds and dirts that is below. And this is what the book, the essence of the book is. How do you be your authentic self? And I feel like that's the fundamental of self-leadership, fundamental to a lot of things. Because people are going to try to change you. People are going to disapprove you. Robots are going to come to say you're not good enough, right? So I think that book is one book that I will highly, highly recommend to anyone.
Well, thank you. I certainly will make sure I get, put my hands on it as soon as possible. So thanks for that advice. And having heard that advice, now comes another question, which can be a bit weird. But do you have an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love? And
unusual habit. What do you mean by unusual?
Where people go, oh, really?
Oh, really? Let me think. Unusual habit. I think moms can resonate with this, or parents in general can resonate with this. The only place we have sanity is in the toilet. That's really, really unusual. I never thought it would be like that until I become a parent.
That's a good one.
So yeah.
That's why my wife hides a lot. No,
exactly.
She's an amazing mom. I wouldn't say that. As all moms are, as a matter of fact. It's brilliant. So, okay, thanks for sharing that with us. And it's a bit puts you in an awkward position. Now, for every one of us going through life, we kind of build expectations or look up to people and that can change through life when we have a person inspirationally, or we inspire to be someone or look up to them. But once we move into a certain stage of life, we probably know who inspired us. Who inspires you? And if there are more than one or two, please share.
Yeah, definitely my dad. My dad is he is the superhero in our family and in the extended family. And he's the one who is shouldering every single responsibility without any complaint and just make things work. And he scrambled to, from nothing to something. And I think that's quite common in their generation, where survival is the key. They have a family to feed and they have to create some, like, from nothing to something. So he built a business from scratch and he is a very successful man, and he has never stopped worrying about us. We have 4 in our family. Like, he provides us with a foundation to succeed as well. And he always tell me, the most I can give you is education. Because Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful tool in the world you can give to anybody. And he gave me exactly that. And I'm forever grateful of that. And now that, I'm an adult and, I'm no longer just, looking from the side, admiring him, we can have this kind of conversation. And it have come to a point where he also says, it's tiring to be always shouldering the rock on his shoulder. And he's really glad that I have taken up a role to be a coach, to share all these, rocks with business owners and leaders, because leaders are always lonely on the top. right? It's hard to share with your team. You need someone, to share the burden and give you some light. And this is what we do, right, Coach Vitari? Like it's great. And for him, like I see that he has this growth in him that he also learned to put down his ego and start sharing his problems, start being vulnerable. So I feel like he is admirable in the sense that he is always growing, and he will always be, the superhero in my heart. Yeah. So, and of course I cannot leave out my mom. So my mom is the one who actually taught me self-care. I'm the person who is always other people first, and he's always at the back of my mind. What about you? What about you? Right? So, and that really hammered it down to like it's important to care for myself before I attend to others. Like, like the metaphor say, right, in airplane, and if the airplane is going to go down, you're going to wear your oxygen mask first before you can save someone else or your children. And I'm really grateful to have both of them, just as an admirable figure and as an idol that I can always look forward to. And I want to always be a blend. I'm a bit greedy, so I like to be a blend of both of them. Like, just the 20% of always putting myself first so that I can care for others, and 80%, being inspiring like my dad. Yeah.
Well, just talking about them made you just a bright. You are already a bright face, but you just were like really full of energy. So
Yes.
bless them
Thank
and
you.
bless you, and definitely a great example of inspirational individuals in anyone's life. That could be, in this case, in yours. We're gonna move into the last bit of the podcast. We're kind of reaching the end, and usually I like to ask a person.
Sure.
These times are coming with a lot of opportunities, right? There's a lot of new opportunities coming up. There's new doors. There's new possibilities opening up that we were not really aware of because technology, whether we like it or not, has actually had a saying in all of this. It has brought us closer. Look at this podcast. It's like nothing possible years ago, and we met in a network. So the fact is that what will Y Coach Academy's focus be in 2021 and the year to come? What is one thing you really, really say, I want to achieve next year?
Yes. For Y Coaching Academy, for 2021, our specific goal is to reach out to social enterprises and SMEs, and particularly the emerging leaders in these areas, to experience coaching. Why these areas? Because I am a big fan of going to sectors that are lack of resources. I know that corporations and multinationals, those are where the money is, but those are where all the support is too. But these people here who are making the real impact, 70% of economy of the world is powered by SMEs, right? And social enterprises are people who are down on the ground, just really making impact one person at a time. And I really want to bring the benefit of coaching to these people, and that's our goal. And specifically, I want to target Malaysia and Singapore as a get-go, and we hope to target at least 100 of them to introduce coaching to them and experience coaching. And that's my aim for Y Coaching Academy for next year.
I love it. We have a project in Dubai, in United Arab Emirates, which was led by a few individuals here, and they called it the Superheroes Project. So it brings a lot of industries plus coaching to entrepreneurs in a different level of spending power. So I can resonate the fact that this will be successful. There's a lot out there that can be done for entrepreneurs and startups, which probably nobody thinks of that much. And as you said wisely, big organizations, big support, big money, but there's a lot more there to be done.
Yes. I'm gonna check out the Superhero Project. That sounds really interesting already.
I will connect you with them. Very glad.
Thank you.
Things come out of this conversation, which is the reason we do this podcast, to bring the globe, everyone from different continents closer. Now, many questions were asked, and many questions will not be asked because of the time. If you would be in my shoes, I'm a size 42, by the way. I know you're surely you're not size 42, but if you would be for this moment, what question would you ask yourself that I didn't?
Wow, that's a really good question. I have to give it a thought.
Please do.
What would I ask myself if I'm Coach Bidari? I think I would ask myself, how do you see the coaching industry? How would you like to see the coaching industry evolve?
How would you like to see the coaching industry evolve, Yee Eng?
Wow, yeah. I would actually love to see the coaching industry evolve to more collaborative, because I know that in coaching industry, each of the coach is a unique caliber, experience, and expert figure, and because the coaching industry is still in the early stages, right, and it's booming really fast, right, especially with the digital coaching, right? I want to see more of collaboration like this, among unique coaches, rather than like just a lot of different pillars of people. Like if we can come together more, I think the world would get to experience coaching faster and better. That's really my hope.
And I don't disagree, of course, because I think I have the same philosophy of we don't have to do it all. And I think when you hear a lot of experts coming to market, and whether certified or not, the fact is that if you are not a specialist in a specific niche, you probably and that's one of the reasons a lot of coaching in this the businesses do not succeed in the second or third year, because they're not specific. And they don't really market themselves, promote themselves as such. But I definitely look forward to seeing that happen. And trust me, a lot of us are here to help each other. So that will.
Yes.
And Yee Eng, with that, we're reaching the end of the podcast. I'm going to definitely invite you back so we can talk about more specific topics. And perhaps once your superhero project kicks off. If the viewers or the listeners want to get in touch with you direct, where can they find you online?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Coach Bidari, for having me here. It's been a privilege and enjoyable talking to you. And I hope that I have a chance to also have a podcast, and it's my turn to ask you a question and know you a little bit more. And for the viewers, if you want to find me, you can go to LinkedIn and Google and search away Yee Eng Lee. You can find me there, or you can go to my website www.ivycoachingacademy.com, and you'll see a list of my team there and a list of programs that we are offering. We also intend to run monthly webinars for people on self-leadership, so people can enjoy from there, right?
Thank you. So Coach Yee Eng, the entrepreneur, leader and coach behind Why Coaching Academy. I wish you all the best, closing 2020 and kicking off a stronger 2021. On behalf of my partners, ivycoaches as well, thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for being here, and see you soon again.
Thank you very much, Coach Bidari and Ivy Coaches. Thank you so much for this opportunity. See you.
Bye-bye.